Here is my 1987 Toyota Seabreeze / Dolphin RV. I just recently put this up for sale. And it's kind of a momentous occasion because when I came to full realization about everything that was going on in my life and submitted to it, this is where I was living. And I lived in this thing for 14 months. So, since we're gonna be getting rid of this, she's a shabby little thing, but this was home for over a year. I think we're going to do this video from here. So let's get into it. All right, well, here we are. This is NDE number 3. If you're right here watching this video, you need to go back and watch NDE 1 and NDE 2, or you're not going to know what's going on. So if you want to know what's going on, go back and watch those 2 videos first. If you don't know if you don't want to know what's going on, just sit here and listen to me ramble on about stuff and not understand any of it. It's up to you. But anyway, where we left off was going good, life's great, having some problems in my life. One of them being my girlfriend's kind of getting on my case, and I've made up my mind that I'm going to leave her. Rolling down the street, guy pulls out in front of me. I get in a car accident. It's horrific. I'm banged up really bad. I get in the ambulance. Everything becomes good. And I'm yelling and hollering at the EMTs. And I realize that they can't hear me. And then I'm outside the vehicle and I'm looking up. I'm up there and I'm looking down on it. It's real loud outside. And I see a shoe laying on the ground. Kind of an expensive shoe. It was my shoe, but seen that shoe on the ground. Now, if we take this whole thing from when I woke up at the hospital, I got in the accident and I wake up. I knew something bad had happened and it was traumatic. And I wake up 2 days later on August the 20th on my birthday. I woke up August the 20th on my 25th birthday in the same building that I was born in. And I woke up at around the same time, which was like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. So 25 years to the date that I was born, same place, same location, same time. I wake up and I knew something bad had happened, and I knew I'd been in a car wreck, and I knew I was just messed up. But I guess the human mind has a way of blocking these kinds of things out, like when it's all happening. It's like, this is a really traumatic experience. You know, I guess to safeguard your own brain, your mind has a way of blocking all this stuff out. And that's what happened. Like, when I woke up August the 20th on my 25th birthday in the same place that I was born in, at the same time, I knew something bad had happened, but like all the details were fuzzy. And so I really remembered getting in the car accident and then waking up 2 days later in the hospital. And when I woke up, I had this supreme peace. Like, I felt like I'd been reborn. It was crazy. Like, the sun was shining and the nurse came in and opened up the blinds and everything. And I'm messed up bad, but it was just like I said, it felt like I'd been reborn. And then slowly but surely, all this stuff started coming back to me. So we'll get into that right now. My voice is getting a little bit hoarse. Anytime I get any kind of emotional, my voice starts cracking and breaking up. So I'm going to go get my drink real quick. I'll be right back. And we're back. Okay. I'm having like trouble figuring out how I'm going to go about this and making this like a 15-20 minute video, and trying not to backtrack and repeat myself over and over again. I said it in the last video, I'm a good performer, but a performance is rehearsed. Not good at speaking off the top of my head. I roll around in my own like subject and I repeat myself. Just see, there it goes again. I just said I repeat myself again, and there it is a third time. So I'm going to try to do the best that I can on this. Now this should be the grand finale right here. This is the point that everybody wants to know about, right? Where you touch the other side. From when the time I checked out and I was on the other side till the time that I woke back up in the hospital, I'm going to keep that to myself for now, because I cannot go through that part without absolutely breaking down and losing my shit. I can't. It's just, it's so hardcore and it's so intense and it's so emotional. So I'm going to have to make a whole video on that, and it's probably going to be an hour long. And I'll tell you why, because it brings up a whole bunch of subjects. Like, you know, it brings up religion and God and Jesus and, you know, Allah, and it just brings up so many other subjects that I think I'm going to have to, I guess my next video is going to have to be just the 2 or 3 minutes that I was out and then I came back. Dedicate its very own video on that, so we can really go in depth about that. And that's the video right there that I really ask, that I want some feedback. I want to talk to people about it. I want to talk about God, and I want to talk about Jesus, and I want to talk about religion. And I'm going to let that video, which would be the 4th video, I'm going to let that one hang out there for a minute and be its own thing. I'm going to tell you from the time that I checked out till the time that I woke up. First of all, with the last 2 videos, I really appreciate everybody messaging me and leaving messages in the comments and all your kind words. I haven't had anybody hate on me yet and be like, oh, you're full of shit, and I haven't had any of that yet. And all your words were really kind and encouraging, and I love you guys, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Y'all will be like the core of this whole thing, and hopefully y'all can build a circle around me and help keep the haters at bay, because that's the big reason that I'm having such a hard time doing it, is because I don't want the ridicule of it. It's easier if I just don't say it and just keep it to myself. I felt like I had a secret superpower, you know? It's just easier to keep it to myself. So once again, I'd like to thank y'all. So I get in the car crash. My knee hits the knob on the dashboard, shatters my knee into a million pieces. My ribs are broken. My nose is broken. I'm bleeding from my head. The paramedics go and get me out. They lift me out of the car. It hurts so bad, and I'm going into shock, and I'm in and out of consciousness. They get me in the ambulance. This perfect peace washes over me. I look at my arm. They've installed an IV. I figure, okay, they just shot me up with the best morphine in the world. I start yapping away at them. Hey guys, I really appreciate, and I felt embarrassed because I had been crying like a little bitch and screaming and hollering, but it was painful, man. But I was at such perfect peace in, I started to feel embarrassed about that. So I'm yapping it away at them, telling them how much I love them and appreciate them and thank you so much. They can't hear me. I'm kind of like, hey guys. They can't hear me. The female paramedic says, we got to get his clothes off now. They bust out scissors. They start ripping apart my clothes. And I was very vain at this point in my life. Gene Simmons always said, if you want to be a rock star, anytime you leave the house, you got to look like a rock star. And I took, being young and a child and wanting to be a rock star, I took that to heart. So anytime I left the house, I was decked out. I don't want to put a monetary value on it, but any time of the day, I probably had, a $1,200-$1,500 outfit on. I had custom Doc Marten boots. I had custom tailored Ralph Lauren polo jeans. You know, just all the bullshit that one would have if they got a little bit of money in their vein. You know, I looked like a rock star. I had the piercings and the spiked hair, and well, no, at that point I had long hair. But I had the whole deal going on. And when they started cutting apart my clothing, so I'm sitting here like in the height of, I'm messed up after this car accident. And I'm kind of upset that they're cutting off my damn really expensive, nice clothes. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Hey, that's not necessary. Yeah, I had a pair of custom Doc Marten shoes that I had spent like $220 on these shoes, and then took them to a shoe guy and had them customized. And they're taking scissors to those, and I'm like, hey, you know, I start hollering. That's how stupid and vain I was. I've just been in this horrible accident. I'm worried about these stupid clothes that I'm wearing that I probably spent way too much money on, trying to impress some people that really don't give a fuck and all that. And then they say, he's got piercings. And I had my nipples pierced because I'm doing the whole rock and roll thing. I'm trying to look cool. And I'm telling them how to take those out, and they can't hear me. And I'm hollering and screaming at them. They can't hear me. And then I'm up the street. I'm floating above. It's really noisy out. And I see one of those shoes laying on the ground. And boom, I'm out. I'm out. And I went to the other side. And I was there. Anybody that had a near-death experience, they will tell you that time and space doesn't exist. All the worldly bullshit that one like encounters every day on this earth, all of that stops. There is no time. So you could be over on that other side for 2 or 3 minutes, and it seemed like 2 or 3 days. So that's what happened. I was there for a minute. Okay, so I'm there. I'm discussing some things. They say, no, back in your body. So I'm in darkness. I'm waking up. And I hear voices, and I hear a little doot, doot, all the machines, and, you know, people walking around the hallways, and I hear the whole thing. And I open my eyes. And who is standing above me is that girl, that woman, that I had made my mind up that I was going to leave her. She heard about this. She was the first person to get over to the hospital to make sure I was all right. 2 hours ago, I'm like, I'm done with her. Now, I'm crippled. I'm strapped down to a board. I've got IVs and monitors and shit all on me. And I'm open my eyes, and it's like I'm down here, and I'm looking up, and she's right there, and she's crying, and she's like in a panic. She's like, no, it's okay, babe, calm down, it wasn't your fault, you know, calm down. And I opened my eyes, and it was just, the whole place went silent, and she had this really confused look on her face, and she goes, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm back here. And she's like, but baby, there's no need to apologize. It wasn't your fault. They told me that guy pulled out in front of me. I was like, yeah, I know. She looked super confused at this point. She's like, how did you just snap out of that? I'm like, snap out of what? She said, for the last 2 minutes, you woke up but didn't open your eyes. And you've been crying and sobbing and asking for forgiveness and repenting God and quoting all this Bible scripture and just acting like a total nutcase. And then you open your eyes and it shuts off. I'm like, was I? She said, yes. And she was equally confused about this because she was Catholic, and she always kind of like, she knew that I didn't, when it came to religion, my main words were, I don't believe in that shit. So she was confused as hell. And so now I'm awake, and she's still confused, but she's right there by my side. And Now that I'm awake, people are starting to come at me. Doctors are coming at me, nurses are coming at me, they're asking me questions, and it's like sensory overload. And I am confused as hell because I was over there and now I'm back here. I was there, but now I'm back in this timeline. And in this timeline, I was driving down the street, I got in a car accident, I am trashed. Like, I'm in really bad shape. And all I had to say was I came back. And they're like, yeah, you came back. And I didn't know about this experience. They didn't know about this experience. It was too much of a sensory overload for me to let them know that I was in another place. And I was in a different timeline. And now I'm back in this timeline. So I'm trying to make sense of all this. People are coming at me left or right. Doctors are talking at me. They're shining lights in my eyes and asking me questions and what's my name and all this stuff. And I'm still trying to deal with what just happened at that other place I was at, because it's very confusing. And my head was a mess. So yeah, all that's going on. Like I said, it's too much. Let me collect my shit back together and I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Shake it off. So there I am in the hospital. My girlfriend's standing over at me. I'm still confused as hell, trying to make sense of what just happened. I was there. I'm back here in this timeline. People are coming at me left or right. And other than confusion, other than how confused I was about what just happened, I still have that feeling of perfect peace. I'm not feeling any pain at all. It's like my body's kind of chilly. Like I'm kind of cold, but I'm strapped to this backboard. I don't feel any pain at all. So these people are coming after me, coming at me, asking me a million questions, telling me all this stuff. I'm trying to deal with, like I said, I think probably 5 or 6 times already, because that's what I do when I get upset. I'm talking off the top of my head. I repeat myself a million times. And I know it gets on my nerves too. Sorry. But I start to notice I'm not in pain. So I asked my girlfriend, I go, am I paralyzed? And she said, no, but you're banged up really bad and you lost a lot of blood. And so I'm like, okay. So I go back and I'm like, oh yeah, they gave me morphine in the ambulance. So some nurse comes up to me and she's like, all right, we got to get you wheeled into this room right here and we're going to prep you for emergency surgery. You got a main artery in your leg. It's been punctured. We have a tourniquet on you. You're receiving emergency blood transfusions. We got to get you in prep to go into surgery. So I was like, okay. And they wheel me into this other corner of the trauma unit or intensive care, wherever they had me at. And they wheel me in this room. And as I'm coming to, again, my mind is in total confusion trying to deal with what just happened to me. And the pain's starting to like sink in. It's like the pain's starting to come back like a faucet dripping, just drip, drip, and it's intensifying. It's slowly coming on, but it's coming on. It's coming on like a freight train that's rolling 5 miles an hour. And there's nothing I can do to stop it. They're asking me all these questions, and then the nurse comes back in, and I say, hey, I know I'm about to go into surgery right now. Can you give me something for pain? Because I'm starting to feel the pain again. She kind of looked at me kind of confused, and she was like, oh, we really can't. Not at this condition. You've lost a lot of blood. We're trying to get fluids back in your body. You're about to go into surgery. We can't give you anything for pain. I was like, they gave me morphine in the ambulance. She looked at me really confused and was like, sir, you almost bled to death. You almost died. And they're not going to give you morphine in the ambulance. And I saw back, like, no, I swear they did. I was in there and everything got, you know. And she's like, sir, I assure you, they are not, once you've been in a car accident, they're not going to give you morphine. That's the last thing on their mind. Like, you've lost a lot of blood. We can't give you anything right now. But hold tight. You're about to go in emergency surgery, and they're going to put you under, and they're going to fix the artery in your leg and let the swelling go down, and, you know, all this. They're going to put a stent and let the blood drain out and all this. And she walks out of the room, and my girlfriend stayed by my side the whole time. She never left. So I break down and I start crying because the pain is starting to get so intense. And I just break down and cry. And I'm confused. And while I'm sitting there crying, and this bee's fucking with me, I'll be back. All right, so we're back. Hopefully the bee's gone. It's almost like a force in this world is trying to keep me from telling this story sometimes, I swear. So I break down crying, and I'm just sobbing, still confused about everything that just happened. And I'm crying like, I swear they gave me morphine. Like, this hurts so bad. Why don't they just give me something to, you know, why can't they just get, it hurts so bad. Why can't they just give me something? You know, they did it back there. I know it. I saw them do it. They put the IV in my arm. There was no pain. And I'm just rambling on about this. And I don't know if I did that for 2 minutes. I don't know if I did it for 20 minutes. I don't know if I was there for an hour. But the nurse comes back in eventually, and she said, sir, we've got a little bit of bad news. The doctor is held up in some other state. I guess, I don't know what happened. I guess he couldn't catch his flight, or he got held up. He was like, he's not going to be here until the morning. And I'm hurting so bad. I was like, can you give me anything for pain? Please, just knock me out or something. She's like, I'm sorry, sir. We can't do it. You've just lost a lot of blood. You almost died. We can't give you anything for pain right now. You're just going to have to tough it out. It's going to be tough. We know it's hard. But you're just going to have to deal with it for a few hours. I'm breaking down sobbing. And I said, I swear to God, they gave me morphine in the ambulance. She said, sir, you didn't get here in an ambulance. She didn't tell me that I got there in a helicopter either. She said, sir, you didn't get here in an ambulance. I assure you, they didn't give you any morphine. And she walked out. I'm sitting here crying. I'm like, I didn't get here in an ambulance. I was in the ambulance. I didn't fucking drive myself here. I'm just so confused. I never made the connection that they emergency dispatched a helicopter and cleared an entire parking lot half a mile up the street. That's all I did. I was in the ambulance. They transported me half a mile up the street in the Home Depot parking lot. They cleared the parking lot, landed the helicopter, snatched me up, flew me up to Atlanta Medical Center. 25 years to the day that I was born in. And so, toughing it out, that was probably like, I don't know. I wasn't really worried about what time it was then, but that was probably 9, 10 o'clock at night once they got me up in the room in the ICU. And right then began the most painful and traumatic thing that I've ever been through. Had a shattered knee, my wrists were sprained, ankles broken, ribs broken, nose busted. So let's say it was 10 o'clock at night. So 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I spent like 10, 11 hours up in this room, leg in some kind of tourniquet to keep the bleeding, at bay, receiving emergency blood transfusions. 10 or so hours in the most excruciating pain that I've ever felt in my life, with nothing, absolutely nothing to keep it at bay. And the whole time I'm sitting here reeling about, I was there, now I'm here. Why the hell did I come back here? And they gave me morphine in the helicopter. They gave me morphine in the ambulance. Why can't they give me anything? Like, they're being mean to me. Your mind just comes up with all kinds of excuses as to, why do these people hate me? When really they're looking out for your best interests, as far as, not dying again. But it's a very selfish thing. But I figure it's all right to be selfish when you're in excruciating pain with nothing to help you. And like I said, I just suffered. And I was in and out of consciousness. The pain, eventually just sitting there crying for hours, and I would pass out. And then I'd wake up in an hour or two, and I'd come back to, and I would cry, and I would pass out. And I did that till like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. And I finally fell asleep. And this time it was like actually a pretty good sleep. I guess I had exhausted myself from crying. And the nurse comes in and she wakes me up. I am so fucking mad at this woman. Like, I finally passed out. What the hell are you waking me up for? She said, the doctor's in. We're going to wheel you into emergency surgery. Well, why'd you have to wake me up to tell me that? Well, we have to get your consent. Okay. My mom is there at this point. My girlfriend, she stayed beside me the whole time. They sign the paperwork for me, give verbal consent, and they wheel me into emergency surgery. And then I was out. And I come back 2 hours later, and I'm still in pain. And I come back to, and they wake me up, and I wake up in the recovery room, and it's a male nurse, and he's looking at me weird. The same way my girlfriend was looking at me weird, he was looking at me weird. And I open my eyes, and I see him staring at me weird. And he goes, are you okay? Like, very concerned. I was like, yeah, I'm in a lot of pain right now, but I guess I'm okay. He's like, you were just talking all kinds of crazy stuff. You were talking about God and bears and mountains and heaven and repentance and Jesus, and just like I did with my girlfriend. I was like, was I? He's like, yeah, it was kind of freaking me out. So anyway, they wheel me back in the room. They come in and tell me, we got the bleeding stopped. We put this stent or whatever to drain the blood out of your leg. We got to let you chill like that for 24 hours. And then we got to wheel you back into emergency surgery, and they're going to have to install an external fixator on your leg. The question comes up again, can you give me anything for pain? She said, yes, but we got to keep it very limited because you just lost a lot of blood, and morphine slows the heart rate down, and we need you to build blood pressure, so we can't give you too much, but we can give you a little bit. Thank God. She comes in, I don't know if it was 5 minutes, 2 hours, whatever. She comes back in. She's got one syringe. She sticks it in the IV. And it was just like ice cold. It was like just, I felt it, this ice cold feeling come in my arm and just rise up my arm and just spread all over my whole body. Right then I was hooked. I was hooked. And it instantly, that ice cold feeling I had that washed over me, it was like heaven. Finally, after all these hours being out of pain, it was a great feeling. It was the best relief I've ever had. And great. It just knocked the edge off of it a little bit. Thank you, God. It didn't last that long. I don't know if it lasted an hour. I don't know if it lasted 20 minutes, but it didn't last that long. And the pain would rush back in, and I'd ask for more. We can't give you more into another 2 hours. And so it was like I would spend 20 minutes in relief and then 3 hours in excruciating pain. 20 minutes in relief, 3 hours in excruciating pain. And that lasted all day and all night for 24 hours. It was like torture. I finally cry myself to sleep again. Nurse comes in, wakes me up. It's a different nurse. I hate this woman just as much as I hated the last woman that waked me. Why do you got to wake me up? Oh, we got to whirl you into emergency surgery. We got to get your verbal consent. Your mom or your girlfriend can sign. Well, they wouldn't let my girlfriend. They'd let my mom. She's got to sign the paperwork. And I was like, didn't I just give you my verbal consent last time? Like, I'm going to give you my verbal consent on the first one, but I ain't going to give you verbal consent on the second one. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm so pissed off this woman. But anyway, we got all that done. They wheel me into emergency surgery. Don't know how long I was there. I'm in the recovery room. Once again, there's a female nurse, and she's staring at me, and she's confused as hell. It's the same story again. You were talking all kinds of crazy stuff. You're talking about all this religious scripture and reciting psalms, and I don't know what you said, but she was like, I was doing it enough, and this was the third time I'd done it. I had been repenting and doing all this stuff and going in such depth about like Bible scripture and all that shit. I did it enough to freak people out. I haven't picked up a Bible a day in my life. And here, when I'm unconscious, I'm crying and repenting and quoting Bible scripture. And it was the same thing again. Are you okay? You're like, yeah, you were talking all kinds of crazy stuff. Was I? So they take, they get me all settled. They wheel me back into a hospital, an actual hospital room. And I would spend, almost 2 weeks in that hospital room. And they wheel me back in there, and I'm just miserable. I had a breathing tube down my throat, and when they pull that out, it feels like your throat feels like sandpaper. I'm just miserable. But I'm kind of numb to the pain at this point. And I was like, will you please give me something for pain? Please. And she's like, yes, your blood pressure is stable out. We can give you something for pain. And they wheeled in this magic machine on a pole that has a box and an IV, and they hooked it up to me, and it was a morphine drip with a button. I could push that morphine drip, not as much as I want, but it was timed, so I guess I could do it every 20 minutes or every hour or whatever. And I got to push the button 2 or 3 times, and it would relief, and I'd go to sleep, and then I'd wake up in excruciating pain. I'd hit the button, and then relief, and then I told my girl, I don't know if this is legal or not, but I told her, like, look, when I fall asleep and you hear that beep go off, hit this button for me. And so she did. So I would go to sleep out of pain, and I would wake up out of pain. And like I said, at like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning on August the 20th, I woke up in the same hospital I was born in, and it was absolutely a beautiful day. I was in no pain, high as a kite. It was like the best day of my life, which should have been one of the worst days of my life, but it was glorious. And the nurse comes in, she opens the curtain, and I forgot about all this. I do know, I have the cognitive ability to know that I was just in this horrible accident, and now I'm here in the hospital, and I'm messed up, and I'm not in any pain, high as a kite. It's a beautiful day. They open the blinds, the sun's shining. There might have, like, it should have been like some Disney, you know, where birds are flying in and chirping and shit. I was just in that good of a mood. So I'd forgotten about it. Like I said, I knew it happened, but I had forgotten about that whole experience, and everything is okie dokie, a-okay. And I chill out for a few hours, and then my mom walks in, and she has a hospital bag, and she's like, here's all your stuff, and it's pretty much worthless at this point. It's like custom belts and custom jeans and custom shoes and nice tailored shirts and all this and jewelry and just all cut apart in a bag. And she's like, this is all your stuff. And she starts pulling it out. She pulls out the jeans, and they got blood on them, and they pull out the shirt, it's cut up, it has blood on them. She pulls out one of those custom Doc Marten shoes. She pulls out one. And I was like, I just seen the shoelaces were cut. And I was like, oh, cool. At least I have my really nice, you know, boots. And I was like, where's the other one? She's like, there is another one. There's just one. I said, well, maybe they left the other one in the ambulance. Did they check? And once again, for the second time, I said, you didn't get here in an ambulance. And as soon as she said that, I looked at that one shoe, and I remember the spot where my other shoe was. I remember it. I remember floating above and seeing that shoe on the ground. And I knew where that shoe was. I had like the mental premonition of, oh, that shoe's, you know, 25 miles south of us, sitting on the corner of Mount Zion Road in Clayton County. And it was like a flash hit me. And that was the first time where the memory started coming back. And then I started getting flashes of the incident. And I remember this. And I remember standing before the light. And I, like, now I'm freaking out again. And I'm confused. Once again, I probably said confused 52 times in this, and I'm sorry for repeating myself. And so, like, the next couple days, I was really upset. And if you think this part, just wait, because this is nothing. This is nothing. The next 20 years. What happened to me when I was living in this thing is crazier than this story. So I hope, like, I really appreciate anybody that follows this and would like to hear it. And I thank you, and I love you endlessly. And the next video that I do, I'll do it in about a week, and I'll discuss what happened when I was in the light. And I appreciate everybody who's watching, and thank you.